Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The College Insider. So glad to have you back. I know it's been over a week. I've been really busy trying to get things done and trying to get content up for you guys. So don't forget, please go to the bottom right hand corner and subscribe to the channel and like the videos as you watch them. That gives me an idea if you're liking them, if you're watching them, and if I need to keep bringing you content. I mean, it's all free. I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm doing it because I have a passion for students in college and trying to use my years of experience as a professor to kind of help you get through college, get to college, and then get a job. So that's what we're going to talk about today is getting the job. We're going to talk about the title of resumes. So I've been promising you that I'll bring you a short video on resume writing, and so that's what we're going to do today. And I want to be clear that this is going to be a really short video, and there's lots more information that I probably need to give you, so I'm going to bring it to you in bits and pieces because I'm trying to keep these videos short and to the point, because I know you don't want to listen to me talk forever. So I'm going to give you just a good bit of information, and then next week we're going to talk about interviews and personal references and all of those things. So I'm going to touch on them briefly, but then we're going to bring you new videos each week regarding those other topics. So let's talk about today. Where do you start to do a resume? And really, what is a resume? Because a lot of things you're going to see are going to say resume or curriculum vitae, and so that's a CV. Usually a resume is going to be for entry level. So if you're graduating college, you're coming out of college looking for that first entry level job, which means the first job using your actual career, then you're going to use a resume. If it says CV, that's okay. That's just usually used more for academia, research, medical, things that are going to be much more lengthy because those people are going to have publications and presentations. I have a CV because I'm in academics, and so my CV is 20 something pages long, but I've been doing this a long time. I have multiple publications and presentations and research that I've done, and so you're usually going to be looking at resume. Some people use the word interchangeably, resume, CV, but resumes are what we're going to really talk about today, entry-level resumes at that. Now, there are a lot of templates online, and those are okay to use, but make sure you're looking at the correct type because there are different resumes for business versus education versus healthcare. They're all designed a little differently, and so you want to make sure you're kind of looking at the one that would fit you the best. Now, also, stay away from a lot of things that are formatted very tightly with a lot of different fonts and headings and lines and all kinds of different things, because it's going to be really important that when you email this to someone, which is what you're going to be doing in 2022 with your resume or uploading it on an HR website, that it will format correctly. So before you send this to someone, work on it and send it to someone else to let them open it as an attachment to see how it's formatting. You don't want the lines all jumbled up in different places because our employer will open that and close it right back down. They're not going to try to interpret it or figure it out. They've got 1,000 other resumes on their desk, and so when they open it, it's got to be there ready for them to look at. So be really careful with that and formatting it. What is entry level? Well, that's really what is expected from you as a new graduate. So if you're going into teaching, then your entry level position would be your first teaching career. If you're in healthcare, your entry level job would be what your degree has prepared you to do. Now, as you would get more experience, your resume is going to grow, but right now we need to keep it under 2 pages. Most places say 1 page is best, but it just depends how much clinical experience you had, how much internship time, preceptor time. There's lots of things that could make it a little longer than 1 page. I'm in healthcare. My students are radiation therapy. They've been to 7 different clinical sites with lots of different clinical equipment and experience. So theirs is going to be more like 2 pages because they need to list that in order to show their wide range of experience that they've had. So 2 pages is okay, but once you start getting past 2 pages, that's not really entry level anymore. They're going to be looking, and employers are not going to want to read pages and pages of resumes. So when they open it, it's got to reach out and be quick enough they can just look at it, see if you're qualified, and a little bit about you, and move on. So it will grow, but right now it should be less than 2 pages, 1 page preferably, and don't really try to fluff it. We don't want a lot of different things on there because then it looks like you're trying too hard, and your resume should really speak for itself without having to fluff it up and make it more eye-catching than it is. Also remember, this is not the time for cutesy fonts or cutesy, you know, headers or things like that. It needs to be very basic. So the format is going to be your top. The top will be your name and contact info. Now, you can also list social media there if you would like, but again, I have a whole video on social media, so go watch that. But LinkedIn is one of the ones that you really need to go ahead and sign up for if you haven't already. This is the #1 way that recruiters and employers find people to fill their positions. It's a professional profile. Keep it professional. Your photograph should be professional. It should be different than your other social media platforms, but make sure that your other social media platforms are clean, because they will go to all of them. But LinkedIn is definitely one you need to say you are a professional, and that would be good to link onto your resume. An objective, there's varying opinions on whether you put an objective or not. But I did talk to some recruiters recently that did say they are becoming obsolete. But when HR people or anyone recruiting or anyone in that's looking for an employee, they will type in search words to bring up those resumes. And this is a good place to put some of those keywords. So if you are in healthcare and you've worked on a particular type of equipment that may not be very common, you may put that in your objective. You know, my objective is to find an entry-level position in blank, 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 working with blank, blank, blank type of equipment and protocols, something to that nature. And that way that keyword would pull up and they would match with that and probably call you for an interview. Education would be next. Now, under education, you want to put the most recent. And if you haven't graduated yet, let's say you're applying now, but you're not graduating until May, then you would put your anticipated graduation date along with what degree you are graduating with. In healthcare, we have national registries that offer certification that you must pass in order to be certified and state licensure. So if you're obviously not certified in that yet, if you haven't graduated, but put the date that you are planning to obtain your certification. When are you sitting for that national board certification? Put that on there, and that at least gives them an idea to know, okay, you're graduating in May, you're taking your board certification the next week. Okay, good. That gives them a time frame. So list your current education and then go back probably just to high school. Work history, if it's relevant. We don't need to know that you worked fast food or anything like that. But if it was relevant, if you're going into healthcare and you've worked in a medical office as an assistant or something like that, that would be relevant to what you're going to be doing. If you are going into elementary education and you've worked at a preschool or a private kindergarten or something as an aide, that would be relevant information. If you've done internships and that type of thing that you were paid for, then put that as a relevant work history. But we don't want to go back too far. Again, we're trying to stay under this 2-page mark. Okay, always the most recent first, and always explain time gaps. So let's say you're a non-traditional student. You've raised your kids, you're going back to school, you've not had a job or even been on the radar for 10 years. That's a good place to put. I have been raising children, maintaining a household from 2012 to 2022. But again, also you can list certifications, licensure skills, professional memberships, leadership abilities, achievements. Again, but we don't want it to look too fluffy. We want to list things that are relevant. It is an opportunity to kind of toot your own horn, stand out from other people, but we don't want to put everything we can think of into that, because then it's going to look like you're reaching a little bit. Always end with your references. I'm going to bring a YouTube video probably in the next week or two on references, and another one as well on interviews. References are important. Make sure you let your references know you are using them so that they will be prepared. I do a lot of references, and if I know it's coming, I'm prepared, I'm ready, versus if someone just calls me out of the blue and I'm having to think about, oh, when did that student graduate? What? You know, it doesn't sound like I'm ready to give a good reference for you. Use a professional email. Got a whole video series on this as well. Go back and look at professional emails if you haven't already watched that video. Don't really want to use your school email at this point. You're moving on. You're a professional. Make sure you have a professional email, not sexymama@gmail.com. Make sure you have an established LinkedIn account. If you don't already have one, go ahead and set that up. It's worth taking a few minutes to do that. And then tailor your resume to the job you're applying for. This means that you may need to change your resume for different jobs. You need to do your research on that facility, on the place that is hiring you, and use some keywords in there that hit those targets of what they are looking for. So that means you may have to customize a few different resumes. You should always make your resumes personalized. That person needs to open it and see that you are applying for their position, not that you sent it out to 50 people. It needs to look like you took some time and made it personal. Cover letters, real quickly, they are becoming obsolete, but I still think they're a good way to introduce yourself. If you're going to use it as the email as the body of a cover letter, make sure it looks like a letter and not a text message. I have a whole video on professional emailing, and we talk about that in there. Don't send a blanket email. Make sure that you don't send it to like 30 people. Always address it to the person, not just dear sir, because then it looks like you've sent it to 30 people. Make sure you note the job specific in that you're applying for, so they know that you're applying for their position at their institution. Do your homework. It's worth taking a little time to make these things personal for the places you are applying. The resume will get you the interview, but the interview will get you the job. So you have to get a good resume to get to that interview. And next week, we're going to talk about all things interviews. So we're going to talk about, there's lots to go in there because the interview really does make or break you getting that job. But you've got to have a good resume to get to that interview. So don't forget that. Okay. Over the time I wanted to go, there's so much more I want to do. I think I'm going to start a podcast so I can talk all I want. Look for that coming soon. Anyway, guys, this is it for resumes right now. I'll bring you some more information later. Next week we'll do this is the end of resumes. I'll bring you a little bit more later, but next week will be interviews and references. Again, subscribe and like. That's very important for me to keep bringing you content. Go to my Facebook, The College Insider, and go to my Instagram, The.College Insider, and email me. Please email me with any topics you want me to talk about. I would love to talk about something specific for you, and that is The.collegeinsider@yahoo.com. Thanks, guys, for listening. Again, hit the subscribe button. Thanks again. I'll talk to you soon, and good luck.